All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Erin O'Brien. I am Thermomix consultant and team leader based in Druin in Victoria. And tonight, my team, the Mix Masters, and I are bringing you this virtual class just to kind of help show families how you can enjoy amazing, delicious food, healthy food, all while saving some money on your weekly grocery bills. So tonight I have a couple of the girls from my team cooking with me and a couple more of them helping out in the chat box. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions in the chat box as we are going along. We would love to answer them all for you, and we absolutely want you to be getting as much out of this virtual as possible. So before we get started, I would love you to pop in the chat box and let us know where you're watching from tonight. And if you have a Thermomix, what model do you have? And perhaps what you are hoping to get out of tonight. Have you recently got a TM7 and you're just learning the ropes? Have you had a Thermomix for a while? Or are you thinking about getting one? Pop it in the chat box and let us know. But we're going to head straight over to Jess, who is going to get us started with a nice, easy, reasonably cheap family dinner.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jess. I am a Thermomix consultant based in Caniva in Victoria. So as Erin said, tonight I am going to make a really easy, really simple family dinner that we all love. So I'm going to make risotto bolognese. So bear with me. A lot of people always think it's this very strange concept, but it's delicious. So you can just see if you can see my screen here, this is our main screen here. So I've actually got my weekly plan in the front here, and this is the recipe that we're going to make. So if I click on that, it comes straight up, ready for guided cooking. You can scroll down and we can see all our ingredients and our steps. But really simple, we're just going to press start and get cooking. So the first step here is to put some parmesan in the bowl. Now, as you'll see, I've always loved this step. In this picture down here, we've got the lid on. When I take that lid off, the scales will automatically tear for me, which is an amazing time saver and gets you out of trouble. With older models, I've run into trouble where I've not teared the scales first. So we're going to put in some Parmesan cheese. I've just cut that into chunks. We just need 100 grams of it. There we go. Now you'll see here that the scales, because I've hit the right amount, it'll actually tick itself off. So we'll go next. We're going to pop the lid on top there. And we're just going to grate that up for 5 seconds on speed 10. So it's going to be the full force of the Thermomix and it will mute me out. So just bear with me for 5 seconds. All right, there we go. So I'll take the lid off there and I'll just show you there's our finely grated Parmesan in there. So nice and quick and easy and perfectly grated. No grated knuckles, none of that, which is great. So we will just put that in a separate bowl. I can't really do that off camera. All right, there we go. We'll just take that out. So it's in there. We'll just put that to the side. Click on next. Now it's going to take to clean and dry the mixing bowl. We just had cheese in it. I'm not going to bother. The cheese is going back into the recipe anyway. So I'm just going to go on. So now we're going to place the mitts in the bowl. A difference with this model, as you can see here on the screen, is it lists all the ingredients all together, which is really great. So we're just measuring that in. We needed 200 grams. I had 285 grams out. I'm just going to leave it at that. It is really good, this recipe. You can add more if you want to. So I'm just going to tick that off. It's got some dried oregano. I'm going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of that. Put that in. And then we're just going to put in some olive oil as well. And it's asking for 20 grams. So we'll just put that in. Now, what I'm actually going to do, so that'll tick itself off. And we'll click next. Now, in this step here, it's going to cook it at 120 degrees. Because I can, I like to do this. You can do this on the TM6 and the TM7. I'm going to actually utilize the high heat mode. So the beauty of the TM7, it's actually a mode on the screen. So I've got out the recipe, gone to all our modes here on our mode screen. And I'm just going to access the browning mode on its own, like here. So I'm just going to change it up to intense. So we can have the intense heat at 160 degrees. And I'm just going to I might just put it back down to 8 minutes there. So it's a little bit longer than the last cook on the recipe. However, I've put in more mince anyway. So I'm just going to put it at 8 minutes at 160 degrees on the intense and the high heat and get that going. So you'll hear, you probably won't be able to hear through the AirPods, but what it is doing is on the high heat, the blades move around and then they stop, and they actually allow for the browning and the caramelization of whatever you're cooking in there, really to really mimic a fry pan. When you put the meat in and you let it sizzle and then you stir it up so it doesn't burn and then you let it sit again, that's what the high heat mode is going to do. So I'm just going to let that go now, and we can pass on to someone else, and I'll be back in about 7 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. I am with Jess. I absolutely love the ability to use the high heat mode or the browning mode manually on the TM7. You can add it into cocktail recipes or any manual imported recipes or anything else that you're cooking from the internet either. So thanks for that tip, Jess. All right, while that's cooking, we're going to go over and see Abby.
Hi everyone, I'm Abby. I'm a consultant from Warragul. I am Mrs. Gray's Kitchen on Instagram. Tonight I'm going to cook the chicken and spinach enchiladas, and I do apologise. I'm very tall. I was just saying to the girls, it's either Thermomix or me, so I'm just going to have to remind myself to keep bobbing down at the bench because you're probably not going to see both of us. I love this recipe because my kids aren't a big Mexican fan, but I can adjust the flavors to how we like it. So, not much spice, change out a few things as you'll see as we go through. And it's a really handy recipe to kind of stretch out your ingredients as well. So, you might not have a lot in there, or you can add extra ingredients in the middle and then just make as many wraps as you want. So I think it only says use about 6 wraps or 6 portions, but you can absolutely make that into more, which you'll see that I do later. So just like Jess, I'm just going to press start and we're going to follow its instructions. So I've already preheated my oven to 190 degrees. Tonight, what I'm going to use as my dish is the Fira cast iron cookware, which is available on the Mix Shop. So jump on and have a look at that. There's a few different sizes and ranges. Really lovely bakeware to use. All right, so first up, what we're going to do is we're going to pop in some mozzarella. So just 100 grams of mozzarella. I've just got one of those cheese balls and I've just broken it up into pieces. A little bit extra, but who doesn't love a bit more cheese? Next, what we're going to pop in is some Parmesan, same thing, just some squares of Parmesan. If you wanted to and you already had, say, grated Parmesan in the fridge, you can absolutely just skip this step and continue on with it as you need to. Next, we're going to pop the lid on and we're just going to grate that for 5 seconds, speed 7. Alrighty, so 5 seconds. I bet if we were grating cheese in the kitchen by hand, it would take us a lot longer than 5 seconds, and it probably wouldn't look like that. So really easy to get finely grated cheese and a lot cheaper than buying the pre-done grated cheese as well. Next, what we're going to add is, and bear with me here, I remember the first time I cooked this recipe, I read artichoke hearts and I thought, no, thank you. Bear with me, try it the first time you cook it because it actually makes it taste really sweet and delicious. So we're going to do a jar of artichoke hearts. You can get them either marinated or just plain. I've just got the plain ones tonight. 130 grams. And we always love the Thermomix scales to test out the produce. So this was supposed to be 180 grams, 123 grams. Don't we love a good rip-off from the supermarket? Thank you very much for that. All right, clicking next. And then we're just going to mix that for 5 seconds on speed 3. All right. Next step is just telling us to transfer that to a bowl and set aside. So you can see that beautiful and mixed after only a couple of seconds. Going to pop that into our bowl. Again, I'm with Jess. The next step is probably going to tell us to clean and dry the mixing bowl. We're all friends here and we're all having the same ingredients that are within our first step. So we're just going to continue cracking on with the cook and not bother wasting all that beautiful flavour that's within the walls of that bowl already. All right. Next step, we're going to place some garlic cloves. Now it says 2. If you're like me, 2 usually means 3, 4, 5 or 6. Happy to add however many garlic cloves you'd like. Beauty about guided cooking, doesn't really actually matter how much you put in there. Next, we're going to do 20 grams of olive oil. I'm not being very accurate with my weighing tonight. It's not letting me tick it off myself, but that's okay. We'll go with it. Sometimes it's a competition between you and the Thermomix to see how well you can get it on. Other times you just wing it, that's fine. We're going to just chop this for 3 seconds on speed 7. I bet we've all got a big jar of minced garlic at home, but we could be saving time and money by just using the garlic cloves themselves. Also smells delicious. I know that unfortunately you can't smell what we're cooking, but I can tell you right now that it smells delicious. All right, so the next step here, it's asking us to add canned chopped tomatoes. So this is one of the alterations that I do for my family. They're weird. They're not a fan of chunky tomatoes. So we're just going to do tomato soup because apparently that's better and it tastes fine. So however you get through the meeting dinner, we're going to just pop that in. Next is just some salt and pepper. And we're going to do some ground cumin. Again, alter this how you wish. If you don't like them, if you've got allergies, things like that, you can absolutely change, omit. If you've got a, Italian spice mix that is a family favorite at home that you'd like to use, just use that instead. I'm going to go into with some oregano as well. And we're not going to do cayenne and chili powder. Again, my children are fussy. We're just going to do a little bit of chili powder instead of both. All right. Next, what it's asking us to do is pop our aroma dish into position. So I'm not sure if you can see my screen there, but same as before, it's going to let us know we need to put the lid on. And then once it's notified that the lid is on there, it's going to tell us to take the cap off and then pop our aroma dish on. Which we're going to do. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to weigh in some chicken thigh fillets. So I've just pre-cut these into portions. It always gives you a guesstimation on how big the portions need to be, but again, just to your liking is fine. Just note that if you do cut it bigger than what the Thermomix says, you just have to make sure that you check that it's cooked afterwards. All right. Next, it's asking us to season with salt and pepper. All right, and the Varoma tray on top, which I'm not sure where my children have put that. Give me 1 second. Here it is. I went to do this cooking demo tonight and I went to put my apron on and I found out that they have decided that I only needed 1 strap. So before 8 o'clock, I was running around like a mad woman trying to find the second strap to my apron. All right. Next, we're going to pop the baby spinach on the top there. So it's saying 120 grams. Again, you can add more or less. Things like vegetables, salads, meat, they're really good at extending your meals. So if you've got a bigger family and you find that this doesn't feed all of you, by all means, add more chicken, add more salad, just probably increase the cook time or, check it afterwards and you might need to just cook it again afterwards. We're going to secure the Varoma lid and then we're going to cook it for 14 minutes. So what we're doing here is we're using the sauce in the bottom to cook our chicken and cook our spinach up the top here rather than using steaming liquid. So all in one meal, ready to go. You're not wasting kind of an appliance as you go. And at the end, we'll be able to make up some beautiful enchiladas. I'm going to pass across to Erin.
Awesome. Thanks, Ab. Everyone knows I love layered cooking like that. It's my absolute favorite to be able to just layer all the things up. Use the aroma to its capacity. Like Ab said, I actually have a family of 7. So I do use the aroma to add that extra bit of chicken or some extra veggies and things to really bulk it up to feed all of us. Cookie Doo is great like that, to be able to have that ability to adjust it to suit us. All right, so what I'm going to cook for us tonight is a manual recipe. So I'd love to know, pop it in the chat box and let me know if you are cooking much manually at the moment with your Thermomix, whether it's a 7 or one of the other models. Pop it in the chat box and let me know. This is actually a recipe that I've been making for years, and I love it because, one, hidden veg is life when you've got little kids. I'm sure a few of you can agree with that. But I love the versatility of it. It's freezer friendly, and it is called a very veggie sauce. So it is like a tomato-based sauce that could be used for pasta, for pizza bases, for like lasagnas. What else could you use it for? Scrolls, savory scrolls, like pizza scrolls. I use it as the sauce on that. Heaps and heaps of different things. So I want to show you how quick and easy it is to make. You can make it ahead, obviously, and then just pop it with some pasta or something during the week to make a nice, quick and easy meal. So I am going to go into the manual mode. I will pop the link to the recipe in the chat box once I finish cooking for the minute. Yes, you could absolutely use it in the risotto that Jess is making as well. That's a good point. So obviously when we're cooking manually, we have the same options that Cookie Doo automatically sets for us. So we're just going to set them ourselves. It really is very simple. So we've got our time, our temperature, and our speed. So for this recipe, we are going to start off by popping in 1 garlic clove, 1 red onion, that is just chopped in half, and 10 grams of oil. So on the TM7, to bring up the scales when I'm in the manual mode, there's a little scale icon there that I'm just going to push on, and then it comes up on that right-hand side. Over, that's okay. Back on now, and we are going to chop that for 3 seconds. So we're just going to hit the seconds icon, move it up to 3, and on speed 5. So we do have quick buttons down the bottom as well. So if there was the one you wanted, you could just quickly hit that. I'm just going to scroll up to 5, and then I'm going to hit play. That would be nice. I haven't tried that one. Actually, nearly always have some of this sauce in the freezer. It's just so handy for all different kinds of things. So we have just chopped up that onion and garlic mixture there quickly. I am just going to give it a little scrape down, and then we're going to pop it onto saute. So just by scraping down, we're just pushing all that onion and garlic back down towards the base, which is obviously where the heat comes from. So to saute it, we want it all down the bottom. And we're going to pop it on for 5 minutes. So this time I'm just going to use that quick button down the bottom, and that puts it automatically up to 5. The temperature to 120. I'm just going to skip to 100 and then go up to 120, and then on speed 1. So we're going to press play, and that will do its thing for us. And while that's cooking, we're going to go back to Jess and see how her risotto is going. And I can get that.
All right, so my mince has browned now. So I don't know if you can see in there. It's all really nicely browned. So what I'm going to do is, because I got out of the recipe to do this, I'm just going to go back, and from the top I can click straight back into my recipe there. And this was the step we were meant to cook the mince on, so I'm just going to skip that. It says transfer to a separate bowl. So I'm just going to pop that straight into my thermoserver here to keep warm as we go. Pop that straight in. All right. There's a little bit of caramelization on the bottom, but that's fine. We will keep going. All right, so now we're going to pop in all our veggies. So like Abby said, it's asking for 2 cloves of garlic. I measure them with my heart, so I'll put in 3. We've got, on here, we've got a carrot and celery. So I've cut that up just into sort of chunks. And the carrot, the same for the carrot as well. Not really measuring them very well on here. I'm more than likely putting in extra than it is asking for, but it's also asking for about 80 grams of carrot. So I'm just making sure I put in the whole carrot. I don't want to waste any of the carrot. Also, I'm not sure if you're following on my socials, but my veggie patch is going really well. So of course I'm going to throw in some zucchini as well. Can't go wrong with zucchini. That's going to be extra. It doesn't matter about that one. Also, it's asked for an echalot. I'm just using brown onion. It's cheaper. It's easier. I've got it on hand. So I'll throw that in. Some fresh basil leaves. Now, with all these recipes, if you don't have the fresh herbs, just use dried ones or grow them. I just grow herbs, which is nice and easy. And then we just need some oil for that as well. So we'll just pop that in. That'll be right there. We'll go next, and it's asking us to pop on the lid, and we're just going to chop all that up. So I'll show you there. That's our before. You can all see that. And now we're just going to chop that up for 3 seconds on speed 5. All right, so we'll have a look. With a lot of these recipes, if you find that it's not chopped up enough or you'd like it chopped up a bit more, if you can see there, to me, that's all perfectly grated up because we're making a risotto after all. So we want them to be all fairly uniform pieces with the risotto. So that's fine for me. If you had really fussy kids and you wanted to cut that finer, by all means, repeat the step, go again. Just get it to how you like it. So we'll go next. Now we're actually going to cook it and just fry it off for 2 minutes. So it's just going to cook now for 2 minutes at 120 degrees on speed 1. So it's actually quite quiet when it's with the silent motor. So it's just going to really quickly cook away like that now. While we're talking about things where we're saving money and all that sort of thing, is there anything at the moment that you're making that you used to always buy? So for me, I like to make condensed milk because it takes me about 10 minutes and I've always got all the ingredients on hand. I never in my wildest dreams thought it'd be something I would make, but I do like to make that now. Like it's quick and easy to make peanut butter. It's easy to make any sort of nut butter, for that matter, even breads and that sort of thing. And let's check the chat. Oh, yep, stock paste. Stock paste is another winner. Even better when you use all the veggies in the fridge that look really sad. That's a great one for use it in nearly every dish that you make. And you can, it's lots of less waste when you make the stock paste. Yep, garlic and ginger paste, they're really good ones as well. Oh, yeah, applesauce. Lots of different sauces and condiments like mayonnaise and hollandaise sauce and things like that you can be quite costly when you buy them, but also you're not quite sure what's in them when you buy them. Whereas I'm finding that a lot more, that I can actually make things a lot cheaper and know exactly what's in them, which is great. Also, another tip I have is when you're making, especially like the risotto bolognese, you don't need much celery. You only need a carrot and all that. So I try and plan ahead for the rest of my meals for this week. I search on Cookie for celery to see where else I can use it. I cut it all up and then I make a dip so that we eat that for afternoon tea. The kids think it's great. All right, so that's cooked there. Now I'm just going to scrape down the sides. Like that. The next step is we're going to add in the rice. So we're just using the arborio rice, which is like your risotto rice. And again, we're just going to weigh that straight in. Made it. It's going to tick itself off. And then we're just going to cook that for another 3 minutes. So I'll let that just cook off now. Now I think, am I handing over to you, Erin?
Yeah, we'll go back to
Yep.
We'll go back to Ab and see if she's ready for us.
No worries.
So I've still got about 3 minutes left on my cook.
Oh,
so Erin,
that's okay. Mine is ready, so we'll just switch.
Okay, great. Go
Perfect. All right. I think we're running a bit ahead of time tonight, which is unusual for us. All right. So I have the sauteed the onion and garlic mixture, which you can have a look at there. And I'm sure if you could smell it, you would be really enjoying that as well. But into there now, we are going to put 400 grams of tomatoes. So this recipe calls for tinned tomatoes. If I've got fresh tomatoes that need to be used, which I do, our tomato bush is overflowing. So I'm just going to use fresh tomatoes today. So if I don't have tomatoes on hand, I use the tinned tomatoes. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make much of a difference. But yeah, just use what you've got. Rather use these up than have them go to waste, obviously. So what did I say? 400 grams of tomatoes. I just had little cherry tomatoes. I'm getting distracted. 120 grams of carrots. So I've just roughly chopped them in there. Popping those in. 100 grams of red capsicum. So we're just obviously tearing it as we're going because it's not automatically tearing them with a cookie dough recipe. Saying that, I have measured them out, obviously. I'm going over on the capsicum, but that's what I had. So again, we're not going to waste anything. We're just going to throw it all in there. 80 grams of celery, again, just roughly chopped. And then 50 grams of zucchini. So after that, we are going to add in, it says half a teaspoon of stock paste. Look, I've made the cardinal sin of Thermomix consultants and I've run out of stock paste. So I'm using my emergency powder. Don't tell anyone else. It's like illegal in Thermomix consultant world to not have veggie stock paste on hand. That'll be my job for tomorrow. And a teaspoon of honey. So we're going to pop that in there now and we're going to blitz it up. So you're going to do 6 seconds on speed 6. Has anyone made anything like this before? Like a batch of sauce? This one, obviously. We can replace those store-bought pasta sauces and things, those jars with this recipe. And obviously much cheaper, but you'll see that it makes a huge amount too. So equivalent to much more than one little jar of sauce. So we've roughly chopped all that up for now, and we are going to cook that. So we're going to cook it for 15 minutes. So I'm just going to use the quick buttons, 10 and the 5 one. We'll take it up to 15. We are going to cook it at 120 again. And then on speed 2. So that's going to cook away. And then that's pretty much it for the sauce. Then we blitz it up and it's done. So like I said, really quick and easy. Great for if you've got extra veggies in the fridge. You can switch them up a little bit. You can use broccoli instead of the zucchini. Just change for what you've got. You could leave out like celery if you didn't happen to have any on hand, but always remember to freeze things like celery. If you've got a bit left over from, a platter on the weekend or whatever, and you're not going to use it, pop it in the freezer and then you can throw it in something like this or a stock paste to do the trick. But while that's cooking, we will go back over to Ab, who I think should be ready for us now.
Oh, hello. I am very much ready. Before I get on to the next step, before I forget about it, I actually, for my veggie stock paste, so, when people top and tail the ends of carrots and like all of those offcuts that you get, the middle center of the capsicum and thing, I actually chuck it all in a Snaplock bag, pop it in the freezer so it doesn't go really bad. And then when I'm ready for a new batch of stock paste, that's actually what I use. So, add some more veggies and things to it if you need to, but you can really actually go super no waste at all if you want to, which is a really handy way of using that up for your veggie stock paste. All right, so we're going to remove the varoma and set aside. A handy tip I always use is get yourself a small plate whenever you're removing the varoma off, because obviously it's got the steaming well underneath there. And if you don't put it on something, it's going to piddle all over your bench. So I always pop it on a plate to make sure that when I lift it up, my bench isn't full of water. And then we're going to go to the next one. It says transfer a third of this tomato mixture into a jug. Oh, now it's got a bit of chicken juice on the top there, but that's okay. So this is our cooked sauce after that. We're just going to transfer a third of it into there and keep the rest in. All right, next we're going to pop 60 grams of cream cheese. You could change this to something different. There are actually like lactose-free varieties of cream cheese and things, but whatever your replacement for cream cheese, if you don't want to use it, you can use something different. It's just to make the sauce nice and creamy in with all of the ingredients in the middle. And then next we're going to pop all of our contents of our varoma. So our beautifully wilted spinach. I'll show you there. Beautifully wilted. We will need to scrape that off because that's not going to come off nicely, and it's probably going to go all over my bench if I try and tip it in. The beauty about cooking spinach is obviously it starts off as a lot and pretty much ends up as nothing. So you could essentially double that and the kids wouldn't even know that it's got double the spinach in it. Next, we're going to pop the cooked chicken in there as well. So again, if you were using more chicken that it says, just make sure you check it that it's cooked, or make sure you cut your pieces nice and small. So the cooking time will cook what you need to. And this is all the juice. I'm not sure if you can see that there, but this is all the juice that comes out of the varoma. So if you didn't have something underneath your varoma, that would be all over your bench, which gets really annoying when you're in the middle of a cook. So we're just going to pop that in the sink. And then our last one is we're going to pop the reserve cheese mixture, but just half of it. So remember that was our mozzarella and our parmesan and our artichoke heart. Again, staying with me on the artichoke heart. Don't knock it till you try it. And we're just going to mix that for 15 seconds, speed 4. And you will notice you won't be able to see it on my screen, I'm sorry, because it's a bit far away, but it's automatically put the blades in reverse. So obviously we've got all that beautiful stuff in there. We don't want to pulverize it. We still want it to be a chunky meat. So whenever you're shredding chicken or something that you still want to have some substance to afterwards, make sure you always put your blades on reverse. So it's going to use the back of the blades, which is a bit more blunt than the front. So we're not actually chopping it. Alrighty. So we're up to assembling. So I'll show you the insides here. So really quick and easy. Like I said, you can add whatever you want in there, but it is a beautiful filling as is. I kind of thought, when I first made it, I thought I'll change it to everything. But again, just go with it the first time and then make alterations. I actually choose to use mini wraps for my kids. It's just more manageable for them. I actually get a lot more out of them as well. So I don't know if anybody else has got kids like mine, but if they have a really big full plate, they're likely not to eat anything. So we do little portions, and then if they happen to eat 6 of them, then that's absolutely fine with me. So all we're going to do is we're going to fill our tortillas with the mixture. Make sure we're not overfilling so you can still roll it up. I'm just going to adjust my camera down here so you can see. And we've got our bakeware dish here as well. If you need to use a scooping tool, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure it's something that's not metal, because you don't want to blunt your blades. So we're just going to put a small amount. Again, if you're using big wraps, you can use a bit more. That's absolutely fine. And then we're going to roll them up and then just place them into our casserole dish. And I'm going to pass over to somebody else while I continue going here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ab. Do you want to just sing out when you're about to put it in the oven? Just interrupt me, okay? Because I don't want you to run out of time to cook them, that's all. And then we'll have a squeeze at what it looks like before you've popped them in. Thank you. All right. I am going to move over to my second Thermomix. I'm very lucky to have two TM7s in my kitchen. So while my sauce is cooking away in the other one, I am going to make some muesli bars in this one. So I don't know about you guys, but well, now we make muesli bars, but they can be super, super expensive to buy from the supermarket. So and obviously we have no control over the sugar and the preservatives and all the different things in them. So I absolutely love making them from scratch. The kids love them. And I have complete control over what is in them, which is very important for me and my family. So this recipe
just quickly,
again,
Erin.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to jump over to me and I'll get mine cooking? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. I'll just quickly jump in here and get mine up to the next step of its cook. So that's my rice and veggies all in there. Now we're just going to pop in the water. So the best thing about the making risotto in the Thermomix, if you haven't already, is the fact you just throw everything in. It becomes a weeknight staple because you can just throw everything at once. There's no standing by the stove and doing a ladle of liquid at a time. You just throw it all in. So here's our veggie stock paste that we are talking about before. I keep mine in the freezer, but it doesn't, it's so much the salt content, it doesn't freeze. So it's perfect. I'm just going to pop in a tablespoon. I always go a little bit more because it's delicious, adds so much flavor. Then we've got some tomato passata. I've had a massive harvest of tomatoes as well. So I've actually been making my own passata. So I'm just going to use that in here tonight. So I just need 300 grams of it. It won't be a full jar. But with the leftovers, you can freeze that and use next time you're making your bolognese sauce or something like that. Chuck in a dried bay leaf. Put that in. If you don't like any of these herbs or anything like that, you can skip them out. A little bit of salt. Do that. And then some pepper. Just put the ground pepper here. And I'll just do a little bit of that in there too. So we'll tick that off, go next. And now we're just going to mix all that up for 5 seconds on speed 2 reverse. Let's just make it, just loosening up all the rice and the veggies in there with the liquid that we've just put in. And now we're actually just going to cook it for 22 minutes at 100 degrees, just on the stirring. So I'll just let that go. And as you'll see, we're nearly done. This is the main cook of ours. So now I'll hand back to Erin.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Got a bit ahead of myself there. I'm just looking at Abby. It looks like she's about finished there. So we'll just swing by her. Just about to pop that in the oven, I think.
With my dirty hands. Yes. So this is the end. So basically all I've done here is I've popped the remainder tomato sauce that we kept aside and the rest of the cheese on the top there. So you can see that's a full dish. I think what was in this packet, 12 mini wraps there that I've used up that. But generally it's quite a big portion. I've still got, I'll show you there. I've still got quite a big portion there. So you can get out another dish, get out some more wraps and make up some more. But we're going to pop that in the oven for 15 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll see it at the end. Okay, now I'll continue. Sorry about that, guys. And I've lost where I was up to. But anyway, we are going to cook some muesli bars. These are just a basic chocolate chip muesli bar, lunchbox friendly, no nuts and that kind of thing. And yeah, absolutely very popular with my kids. So like before, I'm going to go into manual mode. Remember with your TM7, those of you who have it, you do have the ability to customize your home screen as well. So I have it for the planning mode or planning kind of feature. So my planned recipes there. And then I can adjust which of the quick buttons are here as well. So the ones I use the most are there. So I've got my pre-clean, my week, manual mode, and the dough mode. They're probably my 4 most used things, but you can change it around to suit you if there's something like egg boiler or anything at all, turbo, you can change that to be there for quick access as well, which I really love. All right, so we're going to get straight into it. And to start with, we are going to pop in 50 grams of coconut oil. I often double this as well, which works really well. I'll show you afterwards when we get there, but you do have to just give it a little bit of a help with a stir towards the end, but it's still worth it for the convenience of doubling it. 50 grams of butter. Because this freezes beautifully, so if you're making it for lunch boxes or whatever, just double it. Like, save yourself time and money, and just do 2 at once. You won't regret having extra in your freezer for later. All right, just tearing that and popping in 50 grams of butter. I think I've done. I think I've written butter. That's why I didn't do it. Hang on, I've written butter when I should have written sugar down. Look, lucky I've made this recipe 1,000 times. I'm thinking, why haven't I got the butter out? That's all right. Quick switch. 50 grams of brown sugar. And again, you can change it around. So if you want to put less sugar in, you can absolutely try that. I always say to people that are transitioning their kits from store-bought that you might even need to add a little bit more sugar to start with. And then every time you make it, just slowly turn it back a little bit. Because at the end of the day, they will refuse it if all of a sudden you go from having super sweet store-bought stuff to not so sweet homemade. You will run into issues. All right, then we're going to put 85 grams of honey. Nice and slow. You guys making muesli bars or anything similar at the moment? There are quite a few different other muesli bars on Cookie Doo. The only thing I find with a lot of them is that they have nuts in them. And because I've got kids between school and kinder, our kinder's nut-free. So I just keep everything nut-free. It's just easier than having to worry about what I send to kinder versus school. A teaspoon of vanilla and a pinch of salt. So then we're going to pop that in for 4 minutes to melt it on 90 degrees on speed 2. So that is going just to melt all that coconut oil and sugar, not butter, mixture all into one before we add our other ingredients. Just having a quick read of the chat box.
Erin, while you're just jumping on there, I just might show everybody I've got just our little screen up the top here. So I'm going to move you down. So hopefully you can see my Thermomix. So the new thing on the TM7 is we've actually got this little control center down up the top here. So if you slide down on the top, it actually keeps track of what's going on with your Thermomix at the time. So you can see here I'm midway through a recipe. What I've also done is we've got a groovy timer function. So up the top here, there's like a little clock button. You can set your timer. So I've popped 15 minutes in there. So I've got everything going on in the oven and it's keeping track on here. I don't know about you, but when you're cooking lots of things in the kitchen and you've got timers going on left, right and center, it's really handy to have it on the screen ready to go. I'm also actually cleaning my bowl at the moment. You wouldn't know it because you can't hear it, which is another exciting function of the TM7. So you can see here I've got my pre-clean going, I've got my timer function going, and then I've got my recipe there if I need to. I can just literally navigate through them however I want by tapping the bit that I want, and then we've always got our reminder up the top there what's going on.
Awesome, thank you. All right, my sauce has just finished actually while I was doing that. So I'm switching between cameras here. So that has just finished. And I'm probably not going to be able to show you particularly well because I don't want to spill it all over the bench. Oh, there we go. So kind of a chunky sauce there at the moment. So we're just going to blend that up. So making sure we've got our cap on for this. So we're blending it. We're going to do 20 seconds on speed 8. Zoom will probably mute me out for this one as well because it will be a bit noisy, but I'll see you in 20 seconds. Another little tip, which I'm sure your consultant has shown you, for those of you who have a TM7, when you're in any of the modes manually, so whether it's the manual mode or again the steaming, the browning, in the top right hand corner you'll see show tips. If you click that, it's going to give you a lot more information. So the TM7 is so user friendly, it really can show you just about anything. I'm going to go into a different one and show you. So I'm going to do. It's so user-friendly that it will, it's too much going on for my internet at the moment. It will walk you through and talk you through everything. It'll give you hints, tips, videos, all kinds of different things. So when you go into any of the modes, if it's one that you haven't used before, you can go into your preparation steps and I'll tell you what to do. And there's a tips section as well, which will give you different hints and tips and things to get different results. So don't hesitate to use that. Obviously, your consultant will absolutely help you as well if you're using one of the modes for the first time, but that's a nice way to kind of refresh or access information as well. So that's it. That's our very veggie sauce. I'll put it out into a jar. This is actually some that I've already got in the freezer, but I just wanted to show you how I freeze it in portions normally. So this is an old product from the mix shop, but it's a silicone tray. So you can freeze it in little portions. You can, just pop it in the fridge if you're going to use it this week or whatever. But yeah, I freeze it in portions. You can get a couple out if you need to. But it is a really great way to look at it. I'm just actually going to come back to this one while just for a minute and get that next step. Manage our time a little bit better. So that has all melted down now. So into there now we are going to put 230 grams of, this recipe calls for quick oats. I only ever really have rolled oats because if I want to make quick oats, I just give them a quick blitz in the Thermomix, which I could have done beforehand, but I honestly just use the rolled. I think they still taste great. They actually look more like store-bought user bars, I think, and doesn't make any difference really. So 230 grams of those. Tearing the scales and 50 grams of vegetables. And then we're going to pop the lid back on and we're going to combine that just on reverse speed 2 for however many seconds it takes to combine it. So on our TM7 to activate reverse, we're just going to click the blade symbol there. It will turn to a reverse arrow. Obviously, like the girl said before, if you're using a cookie dough recipe, it will automatically select this for you. But because we're not in cookie dough and we're cooking manually, we do need to do that and press play. And that's just going to make sure that we're coating it, kind of stirring it. Your blades are sharp on one side and blunt on the other. So by going in reverse, it's just using the blunt side of your blade. So we're not blitzing up all of those oats and rice bubbles and making a big mess. There we go, just going to stop that there. So I did it 19 seconds. Let's see. You can hopefully see that they're all coated So kind of all buttery there, coated in that oil and sugar mixture. All right, so the next step of this recipe is just to let that cool for a little bit before mixing through some chocolate chips. So while that's cooling, just going to go back to the sauce. Ideally, in a perfect world, I'd leave it a bit longer to cool than I will tonight, maybe like 15, 20 minutes or so, just because otherwise when you stir through your chocolate chips, obviously they're all going to melt if you put them in now because of that hot oil mixture. So back to our very veggie sauce. So yeah, you've got a couple of options. You can freeze it in portions. You can pop it in a big jar. You can just use a normal container. I think if you don't have like a, particular freezer portion tray, you can use a muffin tray. So this is just a silicone muffin tray. Pop it in there for the night, and then just pop the portions out tomorrow, and then freeze them in a Ziploc bag. So, like I said, I find it easier to use the smaller portion trays because I use it for such a variety of things. So, things like the pizza sauces or pizza scrolls and that kind of thing. Obviously, I don't want to defrost a huge amount when I'm making something like that. So I just spatula. So I just freeze it in the portions. And if I want a bigger portion for like a pasta sauce or something for a quick and easy dinner one night, it's easy enough to do that. Get very slowly in there for me. Easy enough just to defrost a couple of portions rather than. Don't have a big enough funnel for this one. So yeah, it's a quick and easy sauce that you can make ahead on the weekend or while you've got time for a really quick and easy dinner during the week. Hidden veg is always a win. You don't have the extra additives and preservatives that you do have in the store-bought sauces, and like I said, so much cheaper than buying those store-bought pasta sauces, and makes quite a bit too. Don't have any questions so far. Pop in the chat box and let us know. We are nearly finished. The girls' dishes will just finish up cooking. We're pretty much done for the night. I'm going to overflow that now. I've done it too much. I'll just leave it on the top. And I'll just come back to our muesli bars. We'll finish that and then we're all done. All right, so once that has cooled down, so let's just fast forward kind of 10 or 15 minutes and it's all cooled down a little bit. Then we're going to add in some chocolate chips. So you can do white chocolate, dark chocolate, whatever you prefer, whatever you have on hand is perfectly fine. You can also add in some sultanas, that kind of thing, if that's what your family likes. But now you're going to pop in about 90 grams of chocolate chips. So I'm just going to bring out those scales again. And look, I normally put it on reverse speed 2 again and stir it up, but because I don't want to melt it too much, I'm just going to give it a hand stir because my mixture is still hot. Right, there you go. That is our muesli bar mixture done. And two. Mix that away a little bit here. So our TM7 has that glider foot on the back, so it just means that we can tilt our Thermomix up and just move it around on that back foot without damaging our scales. And then again, you've got a couple of options with this. These muesli bar molds are from the Mix Shop. I love them, but I don't actually use them for this one. I, again, have 5 kids and we use the bento style lunch boxes and they all have different appetites. So my twins are in kinder and they don't eat quite as much. So I find popping it all in a tray and cutting it to size that suits the kids much easier. And honestly, it saves a bit of time than pressing them all out in the individual molds, I think. You can still cut it into the muesli bar shape. Or I cut them into little squares because, like I said, it fits in that bento style lunchbox. And you just want to push it in. You want to push it in quite firmly because otherwise, when you do go to cut it, even after cooking, then it will crumble. So you won't regret spending that extra extra minute, really. Let's be honest. Really pushing it all in. And then you just want to sprinkle a little bit more chocolate chips on the top when we're done with them. So this one isn't a cookie dough recipe, Tara. This is another manual recipe. They are, I'll pop the link in the chat box in a second, but they are bake clay smile. They're called choc chip granola bars, actually. They are a staple in our house. Is anyone buying muesli bars at the moment? So I'd love to know how much is sitting on them. I know these things are so expensive. I think I almost take for granted now my Thermomix and doing these things. I would hate to think of what my grocery bill would be without it. So I'm going to pop that in the oven for about 20 minutes or until it's brown. And here's what I prepared earlier. So see that that is browned up a little bit there. And like I said, you can slice it up into these kind of muesli bar shapes. Or I like to cut them into little squares. And like I said, literally the only reason I cut them into squares is for our lunch boxes. Because it fits better. So you've got a couple of options. Muesli bars, little squares, whatever your little hands, or big hands, like. But a super easy and delicious muesli bar that I think the kids will love. Lunchbox friendly, freezer friendly, and big money saver for you and your family. So that's my cooking done. Again, I've got that very veggie sauce that we're going to use for all kinds of different things, giving us some beautiful healthy meals with here hidden veg and our muesli bars. So we will go back over to, I don't know who's ready first. Let's have a look. Maybe Jess. Let's see.
I'm not quite ready. I've got about 3 minutes to go, but it won't be long after that. So if Abby's right, we can go to her.
Yep. I'll just grab
a guess, but it was a bad one.
All right. So I actually like to cook mine. It doesn't say it, but I actually like to cook mine covered initially, just because, again, I feel like I'm saying everything about it is for my children, but if there's any brown burns and bits on it, then of course we won't eat that. So we do the majority of the cook with the lid on, and then I've just popped it back in again to kind of crispen it up a little bit, but you can see there, and without me burning my hand, I'll show you there. Those are the beautiful enchiladas. I actually haven't, I'd like some tips because I actually haven't found the perfect side dish to accompany enchiladas because I feel like it's a bit of a, meal in itself, but always then it looks a bit boring on the plate. So pop in the chat box if you've got anything that you would normally serve with enchiladas or any ideas. Maybe a salad or something like that, but also they're actually delicious by themselves. So really quick and easy, and I can assure you the children do eat this recipe.
Awesome. Thanks, Ab. I love your little share about what's not, because we all have those little things in our houses, don't we? Or whether it might be children, it might be a husband, but we all have those little things that we have to work around. But if covering your dish is the biggest problem, I think you're doing all right there.
That's right. Also, I will just say it says garnish with coriander. No, absolutely not. We're not going to put coriander on it. So no.
Awesome. Thanks so much for cooking with us tonight. I know you've just popped yourself on mute, but if you could just share your social media with us again, if anyone wants to follow along.
I will pop it in the chat box, but it's Mrs. Gray's Kitchen.
Awesome. Thank you so much for cooking with us tonight. Really
No worries.
appreciate you sharing all of those tips with us. We'll go back to Jess, see if we've killed enough time there. Nearly.
All right, so I have about 30 seconds to go. So I'll just quickly touch on when Abby said about a side dish to serve with hers. I have, not that we would really need to, but I have made just a really quick pizza bianca that I find is really easy to be able to serve with this sort of meal or any sort of pasta dishes that we have. And it makes two of these. We ate one with dinner. So it makes two about this size, and it cost me a total of $2 to make the two. So a nice, quick, like side dish to have with it. Perfect timing. All right, so now we're going to remove the bay leaf if I can find it. I always find I can never really find it, so I just don't bother. Someone will find it in their dish tomorrow, and they'll.
I was going to say, someone will pick it out at dinner.
Someone will pick it out and they will tell me. So I'll skip that step. All right. So I'm just going to chuck in the little bit of butter. We just need 15 grams. Another tip I do is I always, when I buy my big blocks of cooking butter, I always chop it up into chunks when I first get it and put it into a container, because what you'll find when you're cooking with the Thermomix, you're always needing cubes of butter. And it just saves a lot of time if it's already cut up for you. All right, then we're just going to pop in our mince that we've had in our thermos over here. I'll pop that in. Tick that off. And then we're just going to pop in 30 grams of our Parmesan cheese that we've had here as well. So we'll just sprinkle some of that in. There we go. Tick that off. Now it's just asking us to combine it with the spatula. Okay. Stir all that up. Smelling delicious. All right, and then we are done. So if you can see here, it still looks a little bit watery at the moment, but just let it sit for about 5 minutes in your thermosaver or leave it in the bowl, just long enough to pretty much get the bowls out that you want to serve up. And it's perfectly done. So I'll just serve some out into a bowl here. And it does make a lot too. So this will serve our entire family. We're a family of 5. Me and my husband and 3 kids. So it'll serve us for tonight, and then we'll still have leftovers. Also, another one that I haven't tried yet, which would be really good with this, would be making arancini balls with it, because I reckon it would have a lot of flavour. So that is our risotto there, and we've got the extra Parmesan cheese to put on top, because you ask my kids, put cheese on it, it makes everything taste better. So that is me done as well. So I've got pretty much a full bowl there, a serve here, and we're good.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. That looks delicious. I have to admit, I actually have not tried that risotto.
Oh, it is delicious.
We love a risotto for a quick weeknight meal, but that's one that I haven't tried, so I need to get onto it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. Arancini as a leftover is always the answer.
That's right.
Awesome, Jess. Thanks so much for cooking with us again tonight. And could you please share your social media with anyone that wants to follow?
Yes, so I am at Thermilife on the Farm, if you want to follow along on Facebook and Instagram. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks everybody for watching us or joining us tonight. I hope that we have given you some hints and tips and great ideas to get the most out of your Thermomix, or help inspire you with some new recipes, help you save some money, or even, help you decide whether a Team 7 is the right fit for you and your family. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your consultant. They would love to help you. They will touch base with you tomorrow or the next day to see what you thought and if you did have any questions. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I hope it's been helpful. If you are interested in getting a Team 7 in your kitchen, again, please reach out to your consultant and they will help you. If joining our amazing team is something you've ever thought of, we would love to have you on board as well. We do have a lot of fun and a great little Thermomix community in our team. I love my girls and I love cooking with them and showcasing these kind of things for you. So on top of that, if there's anything that you ever want to see in one of our classes, any theme ideas, things you want to learn more about, again, please let us know, because We love bringing them to you, but we obviously want to make sure that they are of interest to you and things that you want to learn more about. So yes, please share all your ideas. But thank you again. Hopefully we will see you at another virtual again soon. I am Erin O'Brien. My social media is the Thermo Loving Mum if you're interested in following along. But thank you again to Abby and Jess for cooking with us, and to the rest of the girls in my team for inviting you all along tonight, for helping in the chat box, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks, everyone.